Salutations, folks. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. The merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? All right, so I am pretty current up to my emails from subscribers. It's not going to sound like I am when I say what I'm going to say, but I get about 150 emails from subscribers daily. The majority of them are not experiences, but all in all, probably 500 emails daily, and that's not my spam box. That is my normal email. So it takes me a while to get through them all, separate them, star them, put them in a box. And with everything that's been going on with my surgery and everything, I fell behind. And for the last 4 months, I'd say, I was 3 months behind, Right now, I'm approximately 3 weeks behind. So if you sent me an email 3 weeks ago or current, I will be getting to you very quickly. Because honestly, I am more caught up than I have been in a long time. So I apologize, and I will be narrating or contacting you very shortly. So today's final experience comes to us out of an area called Scott Township, Missouri. And it looks like it's just north of Arkansas or the Ozarks. Pretty isolated area. There is two gentlemen that this occurred to or happened to. The main person that reached out to me, they were kids during this time period. They were young teenage kids, 16, 17 years old. And this happened in 1998. So 26 years ago. Jacob was the gentleman that reached out to me today. His friend Travis, we did quickly, while we were talking, do a three-way so we could talk to him just briefly. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty freaking scary, actually. It's not interesting, isn't even the word for it. So Jacob has a pretty unusual hobby. And he's had this hobby since he was a kid. His dad had introduced him to it, and he had done it as projects, like school projects. He was a Cub Scout Weeblo and did it during these things. Never became a Boy Scout. Stopped during the Webelos. And I say that because that was one of his contributions to his Webelo pack when he was younger, was doing this stuff. And so what they would do, he calls himself a Tombstone tourist. And his very unusual hobby is tombstone rubbing. Now, he or you can take a sheet of paper and put it on a headstone and kind of take a piece of chalk, or what he does, artist charcoal, and rub it on the tombstone. He said, I usually use a thicker piece of paper, more coarse than printing paper. And I take a aerosol shellac can after it's done. And, obviously he dusts it off quick and then sprays it, lets it dry. And he says he's got 20-something years of different headstone rubbings. Now, it is illegal in certain states, but it is legal in the majority of them. As long as you notify or get permission from the community, the county, the state. It depends on where this cemetery falls under, what jurisdiction and such. He introduced his friend Travis, which he has been friends with Travis since they were in Webelos together. They both went to different schools, but met while they were in Webelos. And that's another reason why he brought Cub Scouts Webelos up. So they would go around, and I had to laugh because, I had never heard of a kid doing this as a hobby. At 16, 17 years old, I guess I wish I had that hobby. Instead of, my hobbies, which was drugs and alcohol, at 16, 17 years old. So I envy him a little bit. Now, they would get their permission and go to different cemeteries to do this. Nothing weird had ever happened during any of his Tombstone tourist events. So, and he's gone at night with his dad. Certain ones, they've turned it kind of into a adventure. So they get to this area called Scott Township, which is about an hour and a half from where they live. And he had been wanting to go to this cemetery called Bee Creek Cemetery. Apparently there's books on cemeteries that, talk about older cemeteries that are forgotten about and such. Now, what's interesting is in this area, in this kind of Scott Township area, there's two cemeteries, not very far from each other, a couple of miles from each other. There is a Booth Cemetery and there's Bee Creek Cemetery. Between these two cemeteries is a road called Gunson Road, and very isolated area. Yes, there's a small community, but it is, even to current time now, it's isolated. Imagine 20-something years ago what it was like. They contact the right people, and they get permission, and they hit Booth Cemetery. Now, here's one of the things they did to, or he still does. Travis and him are still very good friends, but Travis does not have the hobby anymore. He's not a hobbyist of tombstone rubbing anymore. And they would, on top of bringing their like notebooks and binders and charcoal with them, they would bring garbage bags and some rakes with them, maybe a shovel, pitchfork, whatever. He had an old Volkswagen truck, a Rabbit truck. Now, if you're not familiar with them, I've only seen them. I've never driven one. I had a Rabbit when I was younger that had no heat. Imagine having a Volkswagen Rabbit 5-speed with no heat in the Adirondacks. Not cool. That was my first car. So they would tool around in this. The bed is about maybe 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet long. It's a very small car. Now, they decided to go to Booth Cemetery. All the main tools are in the back of the truck. In between them, it had bucket seats. In between them is where they put their art supplies, their backpack with their art supplies, their garbage bags and such. So they pull into Booth Cemetery, and as they pull in, they see this guy, and he's very unusual. He's, first and foremost, they were told that there would be no caretaker there in the area to bother them. So they're kind of put off. They didn't see a vehicle. There was no vehicle. And, you know, it's just weird when you ask something and yet now there is this. So this guy, he's maybe 50, in a set of overalls with a bluish kind of checkered button-up shirt, overalls over it. And even though he looks to be 50, he's very strong looking. Like, you're not seeing definition through a button-up kind of flannelish shirt, but you can see that he is pretty strong. You know, he looks like a farmer tough, if that makes sense for you. Immediately, Jacob gets out and says, you know, Travis, go get the garbage bags out, get this, get that. I'll, go talk to him and let him know that we have permission to be here and we talk to these people and this and that. So if he's got any questions, he can contact them. And we'll let him know what we're going to do. We're going to clean up the area and, do some tombstone rubbing. So Jacob goes over and talks to him and gets the skinny, hey, yeah, I'm the caretaker. And it's just a really off-putting conversation. It's a very unfriendly conversation. Jacob had actually reached out to shake his hand, and he kind of looked at his hand like almost. The way he explained it is, it was almost like he didn't even know what the next kind of step would be to shake hands. He just looked at my hand like, do I shake his hand? Or why are you doing that? Almost, Jacob parts ways, goes over and talks to Travis and says, wow, that guy's fucking weird, man. But he's a caretaker. I let him know what we were going to do. And, Travis is like, I thought you said there weren't any caretakers. And he said, I don't know. But he's fine with it. We're good. We're good. I'm going to go over here. And you go over here. Bring a bag with you. Bring a rake with you. And any kind of garbage, any kind of debris, anything, just throw it in there. But bring that with you so he sees what we're doing. And Travis proceeds to walk away from Jacob. But he's not going towards the guy. He's not at all anywhere near where he's at. He's in this isolated area of the cemetery. He's picked up a couple of, garbage, whatever. Old soda cans, soda bottles, empty cigarette packs, what have you. And as he's kind of bending down and he starts doing his first rub, he notices, you know how if you're doing something like, I don't know, best example would be if you planting flowers or bending down doing anything per se, and someone comes behind you, it's almost like the sun is blocked from them standing hovering over you. That's exactly what he felt, Travis. And he turns and there's this guy standing over him, watching him do this. And Travis stands up and goes to extend his hand, not thinking that Jacob just tried to do it and said, this guy didn't even look like he knew how to shake my hand. Just instinctual, being a respectful kid, respectful teenager. And that's another thing that Jacob said is, through these years of me and Travis doing it, we were very respectful. We never gave anyone an opportunity to feel like, we were lying to them or up to no good or whatever. Usually, Jacob, whoever he notified, he would leave like his phone number and name. And he's gotten a couple of like thank you cards throughout the years from people that appreciate them cleaning up the cemetery or doing whatever. He's donated a couple of his pieces of artwork, which is really cool because, you think a tombstone rubbing isn't going to be very cool, or very artistic looking, but you find an amazing tombstone with some very cool detail, and it's pretty badass. He sent me a couple of photos of it. So he immediately puts his hand out and notices right off. The guy looks at his hand and looks up at him. Now, when he looks up at him, he's like, all right, whatever. In his head, all right, whatever. I'm not going to try to shake your hand. He just says, you saw what I was doing. It's pretty cool, right? He shows him this. And the guy kind of mumbles something. It's almost like an animalistic growl / mumble, lacking in any vowels or just not fucking words that we are used to. And he turns to see where Jacob is. He's like, where the fuck is Jacob? As he turns back around to look at the guy is now like standing like really intimidating close to him and looking down at him. And Travis looks up at him, eye contact, respectful eye contact, not any kind of disrespect or my brain just went blank for a better term, but just very respectful. He looks and he's like, as he turns to look, oh God, this guy's right fucking in my face now. And he's looking up at him. And as he's now dealing with that initial shock of having somebody be right in your personal space, but like way too much into your personal space, he's like, holy shit, this guy's got fucking reptilian eyes. His eyes are a snake. His eyes look snake-like or chameleon lizard-like. Just this very terrifying reptilian eyes. And he smiles. And there's all of these just razor sharp looking teeth, like pins, but razor sharp. And he looking right down at him. And Travis has all he can do. He grabs his rake, his bags, and his book, and he runs over to where Jacob is. And he's out of breath. He's shaking up. Jacob can tell something's wrong. And he points and he says, this is what just happened. We got to get out of here. This guy's creepy. And as Travis explaining this to Jacob, they're talking, and he turns to see, because he was going to go, he wanted to see the eyes himself. Maybe Travis had just made a mistake with his, what his eyes look like. But as he turns, he's not there. He's nowhere in the cemetery. There's not a vehicle there. You can see where the road would be. He's just gone. The only other area would be the woods. And he immediately is like, we got to get out of here. Let's get out of here as quickly as possible. Throw everything in the truck and let's go. Just let's get out of here. They do. They pull out and they head down Gunson, and they're heading towards Bee Creek Cemetery. As they are pulling into Bee Creek Cemetery, they're kind of talking about what just happened, how weird it was. You know, maybe he's lost. Maybe he's got some sort of mental issue. Jacob's still trying to comprehend the lizard, reptilian-like eyes. They get out and they're looking around and they're like, all right, you know, he's not here. Cool. Let's spend about an hour and a half here. We'll clean up, and we'll clean up first, and then we'll do some tombstone rubbing, and then we'll get out of here. You know, we got couple of hours of daylight left, and we got an hour and a half trip home left. So he's over at one area, and he looks, and he's kind of just seeing what Travis is doing. Checks his truck, you know, just kind of doing a 360 of his surroundings, getting a visual of his surroundings, being vigilant. And what he sees when he looks back at where Travis is, because Travis is now bent down and doing another tombstone rub. His bag is on the opposite side of him, which had garbage in it from the previous. He sees what looks like a humanoid walk into the woods, only followed by a bipedal humanoid, only followed by a quadruped with a large tail. And immediately he stops everything that he's doing and he looks. And he's like, what the hell? Because this dog that he thought was a dog was, you know, the ass end of it looked quite lionish in height. Very large. Walk into the woods, and Jacob immediately yells out, hey, come here, get over here, grab your shit real quick. Look what I found. Look what I found. Trying to be distracted or distract everything that's going on. Hoping that his buddy, you know, Travis doesn't see anything. Because in his head right now is just some guy walking his dog, right? as he's piecing this together, and Travis is walking over to him, rake, garbage bag, he's got his notebook under his arm. Jacob's thinking, like, there was something off about everything. You know, he's like, something was strangely off. And he realizes, oh my God, that one that went into the woods first was not wearing clothing, just like the one that was following him, but on quadruped. About to pause, Tigger just opened the door. It scared me. I just watched the door go like that. I'm like, so he's like, the quadruped, I saw its muzzle, I saw its tail. Okay. And this, mind you, this is all where, as Travis is walking up to him, and he's like, oh my God, the one before him, what, the guy that walked in the woods before him, that had a tail. That had a tail, and it was bipedal walking into the woods. And he kind of steps back, and he's looking, and it's gone. They're both gone into the woods. Travis gets up to him, and he's like, listen, he goes, why don't we stay together on this one? I just saw a really big dog. It was no more than 35 feet from where you were. Let's stick together. We'll get some, cool rubbings. And there's, one that I really want to look at that's really old. But it doesn't have a tail. And he's just, or it does have a tail, and he's like, what the fuck? And he keeps looking periodically over his shoulder, looks back into that area, and he sees a muzzle kind of nudge out of the woods with these glowing red eyes. Now, mind you, it is daytime, but where the sun has set now, or where the sun is in the sky, there's about a 6-foot shade before the woods. And this thing's about 2.5, 3 feet out of the wood line now. You can clearly see that the eyes are glowing. And there's not one, but two more bipedal standing aside of it. And he looks at Travis and he goes, dude, and he points and he's like, what is that? And as Travis backs up, Travis freaked out because he was the one that saw that reptilian eye. He's already having like a bad day. As he's, Travis walks right up to Jacob and stands side by side there, and they watch, and two more come out. So there's a total of 5. 4 bipedal, 1 quadruped, standing in the middle, and it is huge. The 4 that are standing upright are at least 7.5, maybe 8 feet in height. The one that's in the middle, shoulder, is at least 5 feet, like up to, on the 8-foot ones. And they're both like, holy shit. And he says, get everything in the car. Let's go. We got to get out of here. I have no idea what they are. They look like werewolves. Throw everything in. They're cleaning up, getting their books, getting their garbage, and they're watching. They're keeping an eye out. Because they're like, all right, if they take off running at us, we'll just jump in the truck and go. We'll get out of here as quickly as possible. If we got to hit one, we'll hit one, whatever. They get in their car, and Jacob kind of spins it and shoots out going towards Gunson. Now, as they're driving by, they realize that these 5 are no longer in the tree line or in the shaded tree line. They're gone. And they're both like, what the hell? We all saw them. What was that? They're going past there's a conservation hut or kind of building. I guess obviously it's a building, but it's not very, up to date. And this is 1998, so imagine what it is now. They pull out to Gunson, and as they're whipping by, they've got to go past this, conservation hut, shed, whatever. And as he's turning, Travis screams this like horrific scream of like fear. And Jacob looks over Travis, and these 5 dogmen are now walking out of the woods from behind the conservation hut, which there was no cars in that little area. This is a very isolated and terrifying event. I could never imagine being a Boy Scout or Cub Scout or Weeblo and thinking about whatever's out there. Like, fuck, that's scary. They get to the corner and they punch it. Now, mind you, to get back to their house an hour and a half away, they have to go by Booth. They have to go by Booth Cemetery, which is 4 minutes, if that, from where they are. They get out onto the road, and all of a sudden, Jacob goes, "Oh my God, you're going to hate me." And Travis looks over at him and goes, "Why? What?" He goes, "My garbage bag I left back there." Because he looked, he had enough common sense to look first and realize that there's only one garbage bag. Now, the garbage that was picked up is garbage from Booth and any kind of garbage from here, which is pretty similar, the similar amount of garbage, similar stuff, cigarette packs, beer bottle or beer cans, any kind of whatever. He's like, "We got to get it or we're going to get in trouble." He's loops around and realizes, I can't get in there. I can't, So he's like, fuck it, let's leave it. Spins it and shoots back going towards Booth. As they're driving down this Gunson Road, he stops because he sees the guy in overalls with that shirt walking towards where they had just come from. Jacob, being a respectful kid at the time, says, "Hey, be careful going that way. There's something out there right now that, don't make any sense, and it's not a bear, and they're not wolves." And there's no kind of communication at all. Just maybe a grunt, As they're pulling up, he looks at Travis. He stops, tells the guy, "Hey, don't go that way. There's something back there. Bear, not wolf." Right? As he goes back to look back up at the guy, his window's only down like that much. He looks up at him, and at first he was a good clip away from the truck, where he's just talking, "Hey, don't go that way." He looks at Travis, and as he turns to look and say, "Be careful," face to face is the face that Travis just saw. But now it's, full on, terrifying looking creature. Just a lack of a better word, reptilian, you know? I mean, it's everything that he saw, and he winds his window up. It's a crank window. And as he looks one more time, he doesn't see it. He looks in his rear view, and he sees this man start running, like sprinting, very fast, very quick, towards where those 5 dogmen are. He loops it around and says, we got to see what's going to happen. He loops it around. They get over pretty close. And all that he sees is this reptilian-like humanoid with no overalls. So there's no overalls or shirt. And it's literally fighting 2 of these dogmen. The first one was the one that was quadruped. It is now standing over. It is looking over the guy. It is easily 2, maybe 2.5 feet taller than this green-skinned. It has a tail. Jacob, when I talked to both Travis and Jacob for that maybe couple of minutes, 5 minutes, they both literally said there's no way his tail was hiding in his overalls. Maybe, but it did not look like it. It's now tail, it's got everything. It's pretty much taking its clothes off and fighting these 2. One's uber large, the other's fairly bigger than it, and it is not having an issue. It is not having an issue fighting these 2. These 2 are having all they can do to keep their own on this one. You hear these god-awful screeches and growls and pained noises, and then these 2 are out of it, done. They're out of the fight. They are dead. It jumps, like it springs into the final 3 that are behind the 2. These 3 are backing away. They aren't the leader. The leader is now dead. Their leader is now dead. They're backing away from all of this. But that when it jumps, it lands in the middle of them and starts to just attack them. Shortly there, he's like, we gotta go. Fuck the garbage bag. I'll just call and say, hey, I forgot a garbage bag there. We can never tell anybody about this. They punch it around and go back to where Gunson is, where they first saw the guy. And they hear whoomp in their truck, or Jacob's truck, just whoop whoop down. Like something very big hit the back of their truck. And he looks back and he can see a little bit of the carnage, but he sees this face. The same face that was right there 3 minutes ago is now maybe 3 minutes, maybe a little longer, but not even an hour, not even. It only took that creature 15 minutes to go through 5 of these things, 5 of those dogmen. And now it's looking with that same bloodlusted look. But he can see claw marks on its chest. He can see that it is badly hurt. It is, pretty messed up. But it's staring at them with these evil eyes and these just very razor sharp looking needle-like teeth smiling in at them. He fucking punches it. It's standard, so he just punches it, and he hears this it fall back, and he watches it fall in his rear view. He looks in his rear view. It hits the back and goes right over the tailgate, and they're out of there. They just flew out of there. As they're driving out of there, they're thinking about, how are we going to share this? This is crazy. Jacob's like, we can't. Travis, we can't. Both of them. Let's just keep it until times change and, everything's kind of normal. For years, they never shared it. He never wanted to share it. And it really just messed up their friendship and everything that they had as their kind of bonding, best friend bonding, whatever. Travis no longer, they're still friends to this day. They still talk, they best man in each wedding. They both were, vice versa. But Travis refuses to go into the woods. He refuses to go into a cemetery. He refuses to do anything. Sorry about that. Pause again. My cat, the channel's mascot, is acting really weird tonight. There he is too. So, it's just their best friend kind of bonding time, whatever, is done. They never had any kind of haunting experience prior to this. They never had anything after. Or Jacob has never had anything after. It is just some kind of nightmare fuel that, and I looked into this area, and there are reptilian sightings in the surrounding areas of this part of Missouri, Arkansas, Dogman, obviously. But how fucking bizarre and how terrifying is it to see something that is no bigger than a normal, average-sized man, human man, It wasn't 7 feet tall. This guy was not 7 feet tall. It was maybe 6 feet in height. Maybe 200 pounds. But just go through 5 dogmen like it was nothing. And then still have this bloodlust for Travis and Jacob. And it by sheer luck, when he had that, if he didn't have a standard, if he only had an automatic, he might not have gotten that just jounce to bounce that thing out of the back of their truck, his truck. Or what if he had a bigger truck, a more fuller size truck, to where the bed was bigger than 3.5 feet? Would it have gone out? Could they have been a statistic? Probably. What is my cat doing tonight? Anyway. It's just a terrifying experience. Terrifying experience. And there's those what ifs. The what ifs are the worst part about it, because what if the bed? What if, he was driving an automatic? What if it attacked these 2 kids when they first saw it? And there you have it, folks. I do hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories, judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.